strong and lean into the core. And then we take our deep breath in and allow the entire torso to expand with that inhale. Noticing how the breath fills the torso this morning. How does it feel? How does it fill? And then as we exhale, just letting that breath slowly go. This time, we're going to, again, turn inwardly, notice how the breath fills. And once we feel like we can't fill anymore, let's try to fill the back of the body, the back of the lungs, into the spine area with the deep breath in. And then once again, slowly letting the breath go. Starting to feel completely grounded and centered. Let's put out just the intention of what message the guides have for today and for the practice. What is the message for Donna? Today's message from the fairies, wisdom. Have you ever been told that you're wise beyond your years? Now is the time to call upon your inner fairy, wisdom, to help you with a challenge. Wisdom. As we've done each time, just take in that breath, notice if there's any thoughts or observations that come up with wisdom, with that word. It may trigger something, it may bring absolutely nothing up. It's okay. We just notice. And then without attaching, we become that observer. We notice whatever might have come up. We let those thoughts come in, and then we gently encourage them to leave and dissipate for this moment as we let the exhale go, allowing the mind to get a little more clear, a little more centered. And then as we take our next deep, full breath in, we're going to start to move the arms this morning. So when we're ready, we're just going to take that deep breath in and start to bring those arms overhead. The eyes can stay closed if that feels appropriate. And then as we exhale, we'll gently bring the hands to heart center, thumbs pointing to the middle of the chest. We just notice how that feels. Let's do that 2 more times. Another beautiful deep breath in. Reaching the arms overhead and gently letting the breath go as we let the hands come back to heart center. One last full focused breath here, letting the entire torso expand. Imagine this time maybe we're just breathing in wisdom, knowledge, and healing for our body. And then as we exhale, we're seeing that wisdom, knowledge, and health gently sink and release into our being. Let's take one more breath. We'll reach those arms towards the ceiling once again. And then we're going to ground the left hand. So let that left hand come by our hip. We can spread the fingers nice and wide. We're going to keep the right seated bone grounded. Imagine someone's lengthening through that right side of the body. Now the eyes can stay closed, or we can maybe start to gaze to the inside of the arm, whatever feels good. Imagine we're being lengthened through that right side, bringing the right fingers over to the left side of the mat. So we're bending that grounded hand on that left hand, letting that elbow maybe point behind us a bit. Deep breath in, feel that beautiful elongation, consciously keeping the seated bone on the right side, grounded onto the mat. And then we're going to imagine or intend to bring those core muscles into activation. So belly button to spine playing up on the pelvis as we bring ourselves back up through center. And then we'll ground that right hand right by our hip. Let that left arm start to extend, lengthening through the side of the body and gently leaning over to the right. Once again, just let the gaze be wherever's most appropriate. Close the eyes if that feels good. Another beautiful deep breath in. Exhale. You can get those fingers a little closer to the floor. One last deep breath here. And then as we use those core muscles, belly button to spine, we'll come back up through center and gently release. Take a moment here, notice how that feels. And let's bring those legs forward. So I've got them crossed, we're going to bring them forward. Make sure we do have a strap, handies, we'll grab our strap. And let's come into our Paschimottanasana, so seated forward fold. So we'll start with our Dhanurasana. those legs nice and straight. We're going to sit up nice and tall onto the glutes. So we're lengthening again. Imagine we're being pulled right from the top of the head. Let's sit up tall, hands by our hips. This is our Dhanurasana, like our staff pose. There we go, that's a word. Okay, keeping that strong core. Eyes closed or gently gazing towards the feet. Let's take one more breath here with that active core, and then we'll gently grab our strap. Let's place it right around the tops of the feet. We can bend those knees quite a bit to start. We're going to imagine that we can't round our spines. We're going to grab evenly with the right and the left foot, left hands. Let the knees be a little bent. Open the torso towards the sky. Deep breath in, and then consciously bending from the hips. As we've done before, trying to avoid rounding the upper back. Keep bringing the torso towards the thighs. Let's take a few deep breaths here. So as we inhale, we lengthen, imagine that beautiful flat back. As we exhale, we imagine we've got a little more space in our hips, our torso towards the thighs. We can bend those knees a little bit more if we'd like to. We also might just start to lengthen through the back of the legs, see if we get a little more of a stretch. Let's take one more breath here, another deep, full breath. Let the torso completely expand. And then your choice, you can use the strap or let it go as we let ourselves melt over, let everything round, let the chin come to the chest. You can grab the feet if you'd like, walking it out, whatever feels appropriate. As we take our deep breath in, notice how the body is feeling. Just notice our state of mind. This is a great opportunity to check in again. Just notice if there's any thoughts or observations that might have come up. And let's let those slowly dissipate with the exhale. And gently, we'll start to bring ourselves up through to seated. And let's continue. We'll do another forward fold, but we'll do our I don't even know. I can't think of words this morning. So we'll do the one, straight leg, bent leg. It'll come back to me in a moment, I'm sure. If you want to use a block to support the bent knee, you're welcome to. We'll sit up nice and tall. Let's get the strap, place it right around the top of the foot once more. We'll bring our torsos parallel over the straight leg. Grabbing evenly, we'll bend that leg just a little bit. We'll do that back bend once more, opening through the torso. And then consciously bending from the hips, trying to keep the spine long once again. Imagine the torso can get flat to the thigh. Bend the knee as much as you need to, and gently release from the hips, or imagine that we're releasing from our hips. This time while we're here, let's set our beautiful I am phrase for our practice. So this is one of our goals, one of the things we want to create in our life. And we're making it a positive phrase if it's already done. So if you have one already, perfect. If not, it can be something like, I am abundant, prosperous. I am healthy. I am whatever it might be. And we just bring in that positive phrase. We see it come across our mind's eye. I am peaceful, relaxed. I am, it repeats. And you see it one more time come across your mind's eye. I am. And as we let that go, we let ourselves melt right over the leg, let everything round, chin to chest. Take that deep breath in, feel the space being created into the torso, the legs, wherever we need that little bit of space. And then once again, just letting ourselves melt and release over the straight leg. Let's take our next breath. We'll slowly just bring ourselves back up. Avoid putting any pressure on the knee as we gently come back up through seated. And let's switch to the other side. So let's slowly bring the other leg straight. Again, you can use the block if you like. It doesn't need to be there, but it does give the body the cue that it's being supported. And then we'll grab our strap once again. Place it gently around the top of the foot, bend the knee as much as you'd like to. We'll come into our flat back once again. Once you're ready, shoulders away from the ears, opening through the torso, and then gently bending from the hips, imagining the torso can come right over to the thigh. You can gaze towards the foot or close the eyes, whatever feels appropriate. Let's take the 3 deep breaths in, that beautiful deep inhale. With that exhale, just imagining we've got a little bit more space. As we take this next breath, let's bring back our I am phrase once again. Let's see it come in with our inhale. I am open, healed. And then as we exhale, we just let that phrase gently dissipate. We'll take one more breath here. And just like we did before, let go of that strap, let yourself melt forward, let yourself completely surrender over the straight leg. As we come here once more, checking and noticing how this side feels in comparison to the other side. Bend the knee if you need to. Let that breath take you that little bit deeper. If there is some tightness into the hips or the lower back or the leg or wherever, as we take the next breath in, let's bring it into the torso. Imagine or see or intend that it's a healing breath. And then as we exhale, maybe imagine that it's just going right where there's some tightness and just blowing the tightness away, releasing, creating that little bit more space and ease into that area. And then as we let go of that last deep breath, let's slowly bring ourselves back up through to seated. Coming up tall, we can let those legs be straight or cross the legs the opposite way than what we did earlier if you had your legs crossed. Let's continue. Let's open up through the shoulders. So we'll get that nice wide stance with the strap. You probably won't see my whole arm, so that's okay. Take that nice wide stance with the strap, sitting up tall. Keep the glutes grounded. As we inhale, we'll bring that strap up towards the ceiling. And then as we exhale, just let it start to go behind the head. We're going to take a moment here, find that perfect juicy spot. You can feel that stretch into the upper back, the shoulders, the chest. Let's take one last breath here. And then slowly as we exhale, bring that strap back up towards the ceiling and gently release it back towards the floor. Take a moment, shake it out. We'll do that 2 more times. When you're ready, let's get ourselves active, core's active, belly button spine, following the breath as we bring the strap up towards the ceiling. And slowly let it go behind. Take a moment here with the inhale. And then as we exhale, we'll let that strap gently come up towards the ceiling. And slowly release. One more time, following the breath. As the inhale comes in, let's bring that strap up towards the ceiling. And gently let it go. Feel this last beautiful stretch into the shoulders, the upper back. Maybe challenge yourself to go a little deeper, even if just imagine it. And then when you're ready, on that exhale, bringing that strap back up and slowly releasing. Take a moment, just shake it out. Just notice how that feels. And let's come into a supported Baddha Konasana. So we'll grab our bolster and we're going to bring our legs, we're going to make that diamond shape with our legs. So bring the bottoms of the feet to touch. And then we can bring the bolster right under the knees so the legs are supported. And then if you do have your block, you're welcome to use your block if you'd like. And you can have it in front of the headland on there, or you can just let the head hang, whatever feels good. So once we've kind of made our little setup here, make sure we're sitting tall. Again, we've got that beautiful lengthening starting from the torso. Let's take that deep breath in, let the arms come over towards the ceiling. And then lifting out of those hips, let's gently start to forward, fold forward. Let yourself release. If it's comfortable, you can have the block on top of the bolster to catch the chin or the forehead, or if you've got a little more space, you can always have it on the floor. It does help to have something to support the head, but of course you can always just let everything sink forward, let the chin come to the chest, let the top of the head face the floor, so whatever feels appropriate. And as we come into this pose, let's take our 3 deep focused breaths. So that beautiful deep inhale, imagining the front, the sides, the back of the body are completely expanding with the inhale. And then we slowly Let the breath go, making it as long as possible, longer than our inhale. Another beautiful deep breath when you're ready. There's no rush. Taking your time, taking those deep, focused breaths, feeling or imagining the breath is completely filling up the entire torso, the front, sides, back of the body once again. Even if you can't feel it, imagine the breath is coming into the back. And then just like there's just a tiny little hole, we let the breath slowly go. And as we come through this third and final focused deep breath for this moment, just imagine we can take even more than we did for the first two breaths. Even if we just imagine we get that micromillimeter more air into the lungs. And then we're completely surrendering, releasing, and letting go into the bolster, the block, the floor. And we notice if there's any thoughts or observations that might have come up in this pose. And whatever we might have observed, if there was any thoughts, like maybe there's a tightness or a dis-ease somewhere, we just let that breath come in. Imagine we're soothing that area, letting that exhale just flow a little bit of ease to that area. If there's any wandering thoughts, we can do the same thing. Just letting them go as they're not needed for this moment. And over the next breath, we'll just allow our mind to be clear. And we're going to jump into the message for today, wisdom. Have you ever been told that you're wise beyond your years? Now is the time to call upon your inner fairy, wisdom, to help you with a challenge. This fairy, I lost my voice. This fairy is telling you it's time to call upon your own inner wisdom in order to help yourself at a challenging time. Or perhaps someone you know could do with some insights into their situation. This wise fairy is accompanied by a white owl, owls being the symbol of wisdom. She tells you it's time for you to trust your own knowing and reminds you that wisdom doesn't come with age. Wisdom is the ability to see the bigger picture. You can just notice the message, if anything resonated, anything stuck out, or even any thoughts that might have come up. Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. You can take this opportunity to contemplate that. Or stay with your breath, breathing in deeply with slow, gentle exhales. Or maybe just coming back to your I am phrase and just seeing those words come across your mind's eye. We'll be here for just a few more moments, allowing ourselves to open up a little more into this forward fold. Just keeping our focus on our breath and our mind. Take another deep breath in, just briefly bringing ourselves back into our body. Noticing again, did anything distract us? And we let that breath slowly go. And there's absolutely no rush, but we're going to slowly start to transition. So we'll start to gently bring ourselves up and away from our legs, the bolster, if we're using a block, keeping ourselves in this relaxed state. Let's gently grab that bolster. Let's place it parallel to the long edge of the mat. And this morning, what we're going to do is we're going to actually have the top of the bolster right into the middle of the back. So that's where we really want to feel that opening. So we're gently going to come on top of our bolster, lengthwise on the mat, and then that top of the bolster, we're going to make sure it's right into the middle of the back. So you really want to feel the chest expand. See if we can get the shoulders or the head to the mat. Arms can come to cowboy surrender or out to a T. Really want to feel that open into the chest. If it does become a little much, you can always switch out the bolster and put a block under the upper chest. And as we get into this pose, once again, and we allow ourselves to release, we're going to take our 3 deep breaths. As we inhale, we feel the entire torso expanding. We feel that opening into the chest. And then when we let that breath go, we're just consciously imagining we can melt, surrender, just release any tightness we might have in the upper body. Staying with these deep focused breaths, another beautiful deep inhale, let the torso expand. Once again, imagining, maybe this time we're like chocolate sauce, melting over our warm brownie. Not to make you hungry, but just imagining we're melting, releasing, surrendering. And as we let go of this next breath, let's once again bring our focus back into ourselves and what we want to create, our I am phrase. We'll start to see those words come across our mind's eye. I am. Maybe it's abundant, prosperous, healed, aligned, whatever it might be. We see those words, I am, I am. This time as they dissipate, they're dissipating off to the right side of your mind. And we start to see a movie screen in our mind's eye. We are going to become the observer, seeing ourselves in our I am phrase. So once more, we start to see our I am phrase. This time it comes across our internal theater, our internal screen we see. Maybe it shows up as a glittery writing or like it's being typed, I am. And the words dissipate off to the right once again. And now, on this next screen, as it's just changing from one scene to the next, this new scene, you see yourself. You see yourself on the screen in this I am. So if it's I am balanced, what does that look like? What does that in your life feel like? Who is there? What are the conversations you're having? How do you feel? If it's I am healthy, picture yourself healthy. What does that feel like in your body? Who are you talking to? Imagine the conversation of telling somebody you've reached your perfect goal, whether it's in your health, your business, a relationship. And that person that you're talking to is happy for you. What would they say? Are there any colors associated? Items you would have? And then of course as we take this moment to really imagine and intend our I am, what would it feel like in your body? To be at ease, to be at peace, to be healthy. to be prosperous. We'll take another few moments, just creating this in our mind's eye, this imagining, this intending, seeing our I am phrase come into our movie screen reality. We can stay here imagining the details, staying with this if we'd like, or you may let it go and let the scene end, coming out to the right side of your mind's eye. And then just come back to your breath, or stay with this. We'll be here for just another couple of moments. If you're still with your I am, gently let that start to dissipate out to the right side of your mind's eye. And stay here, stay focused on the breath. In a mantra with the inhale, out or exhale with the exhale. The fairy is telling you it is time to call upon your own inner wisdom in order to help yourself at a challenging time. Or perhaps someone you know could do with some insight into their situation. This wise fairy is accompanied by a wise white owl. Owls being a symbol of wisdom. We'll take another deep breath in, just starting to bring our life force back into our body. Feel ourselves starting to maybe lift off the bolster. Maybe imagine that we can bring the breath into the back of the body with this breath. And then when you're ready, there's absolutely no rush. We're going to gently roll over to our right. So we're just going to roll off the bolster, coming to our right side. We're going to come into our recovery. Just taking that moment here on the right side. Let the bolster slide behind you. You can support the head if you like. Just take a moment, check in. Notice how this feels. How is the back, the shoulders, the spine? How is the mind? How is everything in this moment? Without attaching, we want to avoid the stories. We just become the observer. We let go of anything that we observe over the next exhale. And when you're ready, there's slowly, no rush again. We're going to ground our left hand to assist us to come back up through to seated. And we're going to gently transition. We're going to come into another forward fold. So let's just bring our legs out and straight. So you've got two options with the bolster here. So you can bring the legs out straight, a little bend. The bolster can come across the across onto the torso, into the belly area, and then you can fold forward. You can let the block support your head, or as always, your other option, you can bend those knees and bring the bolster right under the knees, but the legs are straight this time versus our diamond shape we did before. And you can again use that block maybe just between the legs if you like, or on the floor if you want to support the head. So once you're there, just take that moment, sit up tall, reach those arms overhead, and then we'll just let ourselves once again come into a gentle forward fold, letting our entire body be supported this time, including the head. As we take these first few breaths, just like we did before, maybe this time we check in. Notice how it feels to come into this forward fold after that last opening into the torso and into the chest. So just notice with the breath how it feels. And we use that exhale just to let ourselves completely release, letting go of those observations. If there is some tension or dis-ease, if there's some tightness, like right in the lower back or onto the spine, that feels like it just needs a little bit of love. As we inhale, imagine bringing in healing, spacious energy, and then just letting it go, releasing it into the areas that it's needed. And we'll stay with our breath as we continue with our card on wisdom and diving into the message today. She tells you it's time for you to trust your own knowing and reminds you that wisdom doesn't only come with age. Wisdom is the ability to see the bigger picture. So fly silently like the owl and hear and see everything before coming to a decision based on this wisdom. Being wise doesn't always mean you're right, but it does mean that you have the ability to see into situations in a more impartial way than many others can, and for the highest good of all concerned. Staying with our breath, just in case we got distracted, we come back into that deep breath. And that slow, gentle exhale. Maybe imagining we can reach a little further or get our torso a little closer to our thighs, or maybe the knees to the nose as we let ourselves sink in this forward fold for just a few more moments here. Slowly over the next exhale, we'll start to prepare. As we come back to our deeper breaths, we let the entire torso expand with that beautiful inhales coming away from our thighs. And then just once again, letting ourselves surrender one final time in this forward fold. And then as we inhale, we'll slowly, mindfully start to bring ourselves back up through seated. We'll take a moment, let's stretch into our triceps before we go into our next pose for a little bit about more of a restorative pose once again. So legs can stay straight or you can cross them. Let's grab our strap And we'll start with the right hand. So we'll grab if you have a buckle, grab the buckle with the right hand. The left hand comes around and grabs, right hand, left hand, there I'm mirroring you, comes around and grabs the bottom part of the strap. We try to get those fingers towards each other. Maybe we're looking towards our feet to begin with. And then we're going to open up. So we want to try to get that chin level. So that's not just avoiding the chin to the chest, try to bring it to 90 degrees, our elbows pointing towards the ceiling. We try to walk those hands towards each other. Close the eyes if that feels good. If you can interlace your hands, great. It's not super important. And then that right elbow is pointing directly towards the ceiling or imagining it can. And you feel that space being created into the arms, the shoulders, the upper back. Let's take 3 deep breaths. So as we inhale, just imagining maybe we can find space, maybe we can get the elbow a little bit straighter to the sky, maybe you can walk those fingers just a little closer. And then with the exhale, we just release. Another beautiful deep breath in. Letting that slowly go. Let's do the final breath here into the shoulders. As we inhale, again imagining maybe we can get that elbow a little bit straighter. And then slowly we release with that left hand, let that right elbow come forward. Let's take a moment, shake it out. Okay, let's do the other side. So we'll grab this strap, the buckle with the other hand, so with the left hand this time, the right hand comes around and grabs the bottom part of that strap. And we're repeating, so just let the chin come to the chest if you need to as you start to get into the pose. And then we're opening up through the side of the body, so the left elbow is pointing to the sky. Those 3 beautiful deep breaths. Inhaling, feeling that opening into the torso. Exhaling, imagining you've got a little bit of space to move into. Just letting that exhale continue to be nice and long and gentle. Trying to always be a little bit longer than the inhale. And then as we come through this final breath here, we'll start to release again, maybe releasing the bottom hand and then the top hand. And just letting it all go, shaking that all out. Let's continue. Let's take one moment coming through a cat and cow, and then we'll come into a supported child's pose. So we'll slowly make our way through hands and knees. So always the toes can be tucked. You can always give yourself a little bit more padding for your knees if you need to. You can roll up your mat. Give yourself some padding. And we're going to spread out those fingers nice and wide so the shoulders are under the wrists. And the shoulders are under the wrists. The wrists are under the shoulders, actually. There you go. Wrists are under the shoulders. We're spreading those fingers nice and wide. We're just going to gently drop the belly, the head and the tailbone. We imagine that they can touch with a beautiful stretch into the front of the body. Eyes can be closed if that feels good. And then as we exhale, we're going to round the spine, chin to chest, making that scared cat. Following with your own pace, nice and slow. Feel each part of the vertebrae move. Inhaling, dropping the belly, the tailbone and the top of the head. Imagine that they can touch. And exhale, letting that breath go. One more nice and slow, full movement with the spine. Deep breath in. And that slow, gentle, extended exhale. Once again, imagining someone squeezing out the air as we let go of all the breath. And the chin comes to the chest and we round that spine. As we come back through a flat back, let's just take one moment. We'll do a little bit of core work before our child's pose. So keeping ourselves in our tabletop position here, strong core. We're just going to bring our right hand off the mat. We're going to point the fingers towards the front of the mat, trying to get that hand at shoulder height. So imagine that we can just be lengthened right out through the shoulder. We're keeping ourselves balanced, strong core, deep breath in, and then gently let that hand come back to the mat. Take a moment, ground that right hand. When you're ready, we'll do that with the left hand. We'll start to extend it from the shoulder, or imagine we get to the shoulder height. Someone's pulling those fingers toward the top of the mat. Again, strong core. and gently bringing that back to the floor. We'll do that with each leg. So when you're ready, we'll start with that right leg. We'll start to push through the heel. Imagine we can get that up to hip height as much as possible. Strong core, feeling balanced. Take another deep breath in, and then gently bring that knee back to the floor. Last time, with the left leg, we'll extend, pushing through the heel. Again, imagining that we've got it at that hip height, so the heel is at that height, pushing right through, toes pointing to the floor, and gently bringing it back to the mat, the knee. Let's slowly grab our bolster. Let's open up those knees nice and wide. And as always, you can use that block. You can always bring the bolster a little higher if you like. And then just let yourself melt forward. So just let the torso come on to the bolster. If you do stay on your forehead, you're welcome to, but you can go into the ear. And if you're on your ear, I will cue you halfway through to switch sides. And of course, if this is uncomfortable, you can always just come to a traditional child's pose. But if we're here and you're comfortable, let those arms lengthen to the top of the mat. Imagine we can get those seated bones towards the heels. You can close the eyes again if we haven't. Turning inwardly, let's take our 3 deep breaths in this pose. That beautiful expanded inhale. Becoming aware this time. How does the breath feel? How does it feel to come in as we take that inhale? And then again, just becoming aware of how it feels as it starts to leave. What part of the lungs does it dissipate from first? Where does it come from last? 2 more mindful breaths. Again, this is all about just taking that moment to observe, notice how our body is. Whatever we observe with the breath and the body, we let it go without attachment on that exhale. 1 final deep, full, expansive breath. Imagining this time that you're completely melting, surrendering into the bolster fully as you let go of that breath. And once again tonight, morning, whatever time of the day it is, we're going to see our I am. So we're going to have our movie projector, the screen is up, and we're going to come back to our I am phrase. We're going to see it come across the screen 3 times first. I am healthy, abundant, connected, peaceful. I am, again, whatever it is. It's dissipating off to the right, the words. And one final time we see the words I am, and whatever it is comes across the screen and then gently dissipates to the right. And we now see ourselves up on the screen, watching ourselves in this movie. And again, seeing ourselves in that I am statement. I am abundant. Who's there? Who would you be talking to? How would they be reacting? What would you be wearing? How would you be feeling? Is there colors, sounds? Would there be foods? If you were abundant, would you eat differently? See yourself doing whatever it is connected to your I am statement. There's no limitations. As we see and imagine ourselves right there as if it's happening in real time in our lives. With those final details. And then slowly this ends the scene. And it dissipates off to the right. And if you're on one ear, you're going to gently switch to the other side. And we're going to come back into our breath. Or if you'd like to come back to your I am phrase, you're welcome to. And back to imagining it on your mind's little movie screen, you're welcome to. Or just stay with your breath with that gentle in and out. next couple of moments. We all have access to inner wisdom. And pulling this card shows it's time for you to trust this fully. You could find yourself being asked to help or to facilitate a healing between two or more parties. This is where wisdom comes in. Allow your intuition to speak through the filter of wisdom, but always remember that others have a choice and free will. So give loving advice, but not orders, as no one really likes being told what to do, including you. As we gently take the next breath in, so let the torso expand with this beautiful inhale. And one final exhale, just imagining we're melting, and then as we inhale, we'll start to gently bring ourselves up and away from the bolster. Keeping ourselves in this relaxed state, the bolster should be kind of parallel to our mat, so we can just use it, or if we've got the block, move it off to the side. We're going to change the bolster parallel to the short end of the mat. So it doesn't matter where it is, but we're going to do it, and we're going to, doesn't matter where it is on your mat, as long as you can adjust yourself. There we go. And we're going to come parallel to the mat. We're going to come through our obliques. So this is the one where we're going to come. We can start with our right side. We can bring the bolster right under the rib cage. And the right arm comes over the bolster. Now you can use that block to gently catch the head and let it lay onto the block, or you can of course support it with the right hand. So whatever feels a little bit better. And then once you've found, you want to kind of get that perfect spot where you really feel that opening into the side of the body. Now with the left hand, it can just stay on the bolster or in front of you, or you can start to bring the palm to the sky and bring that left hand overhead and imagine that's being lengthened towards the top of your mat. And if the right hand is available, you can interlace both hands and start to lengthen both arms towards the top of the mat. And then the legs, just let them be whatever position is most comfortable. So we're coming into this deep opening into the oblique, creating some space. Just like we've done each time, we'll take our 3 deep breaths. Again, becoming just that observer. How does it feel to have the breath come into the side of the body? And then how it feels to sink over the bolster on this side. Another deep full breath, becoming aware, noticing how the breath travels.